Good morning, friends. Happy Saturday. Hope you all had a wonderful night's rest. I know I did. I slept like a rock. It's my favorite way to sleep. Alright, well, today is June 19th, day 162 on the treadmill without missing a day. I'm pretty proud of that, I gotta say. Pretty proud of that. Alright, so I think today is actually going to be much shorter than the typical one. It's only a page and a half here. It's usually 3 to 4. So, okay. June 19th. Jehoahaz rules in Israel. 2 Kings 13, 1 through 7, which was around 814 BC. Jehoahaz, son of Jehu, began to rule over Israel in the 23rd year of King Joash's reign in Judah. He reigned in Samaria 17 years, but he did what was evil in the Lord's sight. He followed the example of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, continuing the sins that Jeroboam had led Israel to commit. So the Lord was very angry with Israel, and he allowed King Hazael of Aram and his son Ben-Hadad to defeat them repeatedly. Then Jehoahaz prayed for the Lord's help, and the Lord heard his prayer, for he could see how severely the king of Aram was oppressing Israel. So the Lord provided someone to rescue the Israelites from the tyranny of the Arameans. Then Israel lived in safety again as they had in former days. But they continued to sin, following the example of Jeroboam. They also allowed the Asherah pole in Samaria to remain standing. Finally, Jehoahaz's army was reduced to 50 charioteers, 10 chariots, and 10,000 foot soldiers. The king of Aram had killed the others, trampling them like dust under his feet. End of Jehoahaz's reign, 2 Kings 13, 8 through 9, which was 798 BC. The rest of the events in Jehoahaz's reign, everything he did, and the extent of his power, are recorded in the book of history of kings of Israel. When Jehoahaz died, he was buried in Samaria. Then his son Jehoash became the next king. Jehoash rules in Israel, 2 Kings 13, 10 through 11, which was 798 BC. Jehoash, son of Jehoahaz, began to rule over Israel in the 37th year of King Joash's reign in Judah. He reigned in Samaria 16 years, but he did what was evil in the Lord's sight. He refused to turn from the sins that Jeroboam, son of Nebat, had led Israel to commit. The end of Joash's reign, 2 Kings 12, 17 through 21, which was 796 BC. About this time, King Hazael of Aram went to war against Gath and captured it. Then he turned to attack Jerusalem. King Joash collected all the sacred objects that Jehoshaphat, Jehoram, and Ahaziah, the previous king of Judah, had dedicated, along with what he himself had dedicated. He sent them all to Hazael, along with the gold in the treasuries of the Lord's temple and the royal palace. So Hazael called off his attack on Jerusalem. The rest of the events in Joash's reign and everything he did are recorded in the book of history of the kings of Judah. Joash's officers plotted against him and assassinated him at Beth Milo on the road to Silla. The assassins were Josachar, son of Shemaeth, and Jehozabad, son of Shomer, both trusted advisors. Joash was buried with his ancestors in the city of David. Then his son Amaziah became the next king. 2 Chronicles 24, 23 through 27. In the spring of the year, the Aramean army marched against Joash. They invaded Judah and Jerusalem and killed all the leaders of the nation. Then they sent all the plunder back to their king in Damascus. Although the Arameans attacked with only a small army, the Lord helped them to conquer the much larger army of Judah. The people of Judah had abandoned the Lord, the God of their ancestors, so judgment was carried out against Joash. The Arameans withdrew, leaving Joash severely wounded, but his own officials plotted to kill him for murdering the son of Jehoiada the priest. They assassinated him as he laid in bed. Then he was buried in the city of David, but not in the royal cemetery. The assassins were Josachar, the son of the Ammonite woman named Shemaeth, and Jehozabad, the son of the Moabite woman named Shomer. The account of the sons of Joash, the prophecies about him, and the record of his restoration of the temple of God are written in the commentary on the book of Kings. His son Amaziah became the next king. Elisha's final prophecy, 2 Kings 13, 14 through 23. When Elisha was in his last illness, King Jehoash of Israel visited him and wept over him. My father, I see the chariots and charioteers of Israel, he cried. Elisha told him, get a bow and some arrows. And the king did as he was told. Elisha told him, put your hand on the bow. And Elisha laid his hand on the king's hands. Then he commanded, open the eastern window, and he opened it. Then he said, shoot. So he shot an arrow. Elisha proclaimed, this is the Lord's arrow, an arrow of victory over Aram, for you will completely conquer the Arameans at Aphek. Then he said, now pick up the other arrows and strike them against the ground. So the king picked them up and struck them on the ground 3 times. But the man of God was angry with him. You should have struck the ground 5 or 6 times, he exclaimed. Then you would have beaten Aram until it was entirely destroyed. Now you will be victorious only 3 times. Then Elisha died and was buried. Groups of Moabite raiders used to invade the land each spring. Once, when some Israelites were burying a man, they spied a band of these raiders. So they hastily threw the corpse into the tomb of Elisha and fled. But as soon as the body touched Elisha's bones, the dead man revived and jumped to his feet. King Hazael of Aram had oppressed Israel during the entire reign of King Jehoahaz. But the Lord was gracious and merciful to the people of Israel, and they were not totally destroyed. He pitied them because of his covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and to this day he has still not completely destroyed them or banished them from his presence. I feel like that paragraph that they just threw in there was like totally caught me off guard. Once when some Israelites were burying a man, they spied a band of these raiders. So they hastily threw the corpse into the tomb of Elisha and fled. But as soon as the body touched Elisha's bones, the dead man revived and jumped to his feet. I feel like that should be a bigger story than this one little paragraph. I hope we revisit that. I want to know more. It feels like they just threw the sentence in there. Hey, look, this dead man came alive after he touched Elisha's bones. 2 Kings 13, 24 through 25, which is around 796 BC. King Hazael of Aram died, and his son Ben-Hadad became the next king. Then Jehoash, son of Jehoahaz, recaptured from Ben-Hadad, son of Hazael, the towns that had been taken from Jehoash's father, Jehoahaz, yeah. Jehoash, there's a lot of H's and J's in this. Jehoash defeated Ben-Hadad on 3 occasions, and he recovered the Israelite towns. Right, me too, Melissa. I want more information about this dead but not dead guy. All right, that was it. That was short. And of course, tomorrow's like 7 pages. That's what they do. They give you a page and a half, and then the next day they give you like 7. But we're almost out of Kings. We gotta finish. It looks like the last day in Kings is tomorrow, and then we go into Jonah. Feels like Jonah should be its own chapter or day. Whatever, I didn't write it. All right, you guys. That's it. 8 minutes. That was short. All right. Thank you for joining me for Treadmill Devotions. I hope that it's a blessing to you. I'll be back tomorrow with day 163. So, all right, I'm going to go upstairs and make breakfast. I'm going to make a deep S breakfast for myself this morning. I'm going to make a scramble of some kind out of like eggs and sausage and cabbage. And then I'm going to make, I got to find the recipe and make sure I have all the ingredients, but I think I'm going to make some donuts for the week. Because a couple of y'all have been posting pictures of your Trim Healthy Donuts and making KJ want Trim Healthy Donuts. So that's my plan, is to go upstairs and make some THM donuts. And I'm also going to make a batch of tummy tucking ice cream to throw in the freezer to have tomorrow or Monday or whenever I want it. So, all right, you guys, I love you all. I hope you have a blessed day. I'll see you in a few minutes if you're going to join me for breakfast. It'll probably be, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes. I'm going to go get my stuff together and then I'll jump on. So, all right, have a great day and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.